Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Saur, Darkchylde, and welcome back to Let's Replay Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. Last time, we did our second day of investigation, and we got a lot more information that we're going to be needing for this two-part finale of the episode. The first being that we learned why what Mr. Latouche was doing as a undercover Interpol agent. He was trying to stop a smuggling ring of a very potent cure that was not supposed to be brought out of Borginia. And for those that bring the thing out that is Borginian and caught, they are unfortunately put to the death penalty for if they're caught and found guilty for smuggling. So, and we say Lamoire, who found herself getting attacked, and as thanks, she volunteered to be a translator for us as we try to question Maki one more time. However, before we can get anywhere further into getting more information in the case, surprise, surprise, Darian interrupts us and takes Maki away. Are we going to be able to save his skin in this two-part finale of the case? Let's find out. July 10th, 2026, 9:49 a.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. Well, this is it. Today's the day it all goes down. And then there was yesterday. The meeting is over. Sorry. Just give us 5 more minutes. We can call them back later. After that. Sorry, no go. Come on, piano boy. We're leaving. Darian, wait! I never liked you. Either of you. Darn it, we were so close. He was about to tell us. And Apollo... he didn't want us to hear what Maki had to say. And I think I know why. Time to bring down a little justice. Hey! What was that?
He is heard but unseen.
Who's that talking? Felon Grummerai. Using the door like an average muggle, no less. You aren't the witness today, are you, Uncle Valen?
The prosecution, a preposterous proposition. How could I stand up on the stand? Why, my secrets would be free for the plucking. I might even have to sign autographs. That is why I intend to remain hidden for the entire day.
Ooh, with vanishing magic?
Indeed, I will jump on the express train and express myself to the next town over. But before I go, a word of warning.
Warning? What?
A Grand Grammar Glamour resides at the root of all that has happened. Do not forget this truth. A glamour? A spell, a sorcery, a great illusion. Miss Trucy, though it pains me to hurt so, I need to get in line and buy for a ticket. Farewell!
And there he goes. He sure seemed happy about that illusion thing. Oh, big illusions are the bread and butter of a magician. You can't pull off a show without one. The big illusion is always a spectacle to remember. Usually it involves cutting... Oh fudge, that was too much. Or the Eiffel Tower, or anything really. So he was talking about that, about what we saw at the concert. Wetmore's disappearing at. And the prosecutor Gavin's exploding guitar. I wonder what he meant by it bringing at the root of all that has happened. Well, it's about time. Shall we go?
Excuse me, sir?
Yes?
The scheduled starting time for the trial has been changed. The trial will not be commencing until 10:30 a.m. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Huh? Did something happen? This is a first.
It was by the judge's request. It's some urgent personal business.
Great. I bet he stayed up too late at night watching courtroom dramas.
Apparently, he's visiting the hospital again.
The hospital?
I believe he mentioned that the Chief Justice's son is unwell. Apparently, his condition worsened considerably this morning.
The Chief Justice's son? Oh, that's right! Remember yesterday morning? The judge said he had to go visit him after the trial.
Here's an article about it in the newspaper. If you care to read about it yourself.
Incuritis? Where have I heard that before? I'll let you read that article for us, Apollo. Just give me the TV guide page to me. Try not to lose the page with the funnies if you can.
My apologies for the delay. Court is now in session for the trial of... how do you say his name again?
Make Tobite. Our suspect Forastimino.
Right. It's his trial, in any case.
The defense is prepared, Your Honor.
The prosecution is ready to rock.
Is something wrong, Your Honor?
No, well, yes. It's just, I've been friends with the Chief Justice since we were students. It pains me to see him going through such a difficult time.
Incuritis, was it? That article said there was no known cure.
Herr Judge, let me say, with all honesty, I feel your pain. But now is not the time for tears. Now is the time for law. Indeed. We left off at quite the conjecture yesterday.
I asked the Interpol about that number. IPXX314206. Their agent registered under this number was Roman Latous.
Thank you for looking into that for us, Detective Crescent. It's a great help.
Oh, no problem at all, Your Honor. I'll be heading out now. Hold it! Wait! That voice just now. It was him! I'm sure of it!
It was him?
That voice I heard, talking to Mr. Latouche, when I heard the gunshots fired. It was him! It was Mr. Darien! No way! Quite a sensational ending. Who would have thought Darien, who would guest star in the season cliffhanger, as a suspect?
I asked the prosecution to look into this matter. Please tell the court your findings.
Darien Crescent is a member of my band, the Gavineers. He is also a detective, making the current charges serious indeed. Yet another investigation, I have found no clues to alter our case or file new charges. And your reason is? Weren't you aware, Airforehead? He has an impeccable alibi.
An alibi?
Let us review the facts again, shall we? The concert held on the night of the shooting. He was in 3 sets. The Gavineers ripped up the stage during the first set. And for the second set, our guest took center stage. The only performance appearing were myself, Lemoire, and Maki, along with the drummer and bassist. The shooting in the dressing room, however, took place during the 3rd set. Lemoire and the defendant, Maki Tolbai, left the stage at that point. And the Gavineers were already rocking. This is when 2 shots rang out at the scene of the crime. Shots heard by Detective Emma Sky, mind you. And Apollo. Oh, you heard them too, right? Sure I did. Furthermore, Lemoire herself witnessed the moment of the crime. Well, perhaps I should say she heard the moment of the crime. When she claims to have heard Mr. Latouche and Detective Crescent talking.
But that's impossible! Detective Crescent was...
Precisely. Detective Crescent was on stage, getting his groove on, no less. Voila! A perfect alibi!
Does the defense have anything to add to this?
It's true. When I heard those gunshots, he must have been on stage. Still, there's something here that doesn't quite add up.
It appears the defense has no objections. I believe we can safely say that Darien Crescent's alibi has been acknowledged.
Which means that Lemoire was sadly mistaken. Her testimony cannot be true.
Very well. Of course, it is if we disregard her testimony, then I have no evidence keeping us from declaring a verdict. If indeed there are no objections...
Uh-oh, Apollo, if he declares a verdict now... the prosecutor, Gavin's case is airtight. Lemoire might have have been lying to protect Machi. How can I rely on her testimony? Wait. What about yesterday in the detention center? About the case? What about the case? He wants to tell us about the Mr. Lotus's death? This meeting's over. Darian? Machi was trying to tell us something. I know it. Maybe the best thing to do is ask him under oath.
Very well. The court finds the defendant, what's his name again?
Your Honor!
No, that wasn't it. It was something like Marquise or Mr. Justice.
Your Honor, before you declare a verdict, I would like to call another witness. Exactly who else do you need to hear from? A witness who until now has not been given a chance to speak in this court. Because he doesn't speak English. You don't mean... I do. The defense calls defendant Maki Tobai to the stand.
What? But he doesn't speak English.
We'll get an interpreter. Interpreter? I'm afraid you'll have to look elsewhere. I only speak a few phrases, such as I love you and where's the toilet? The defense would like to request Lemoir as the interpreter.
Lemoir? But there's a possibility she's protecting the defendant.
But she'd be interpreting for the defendant. Why would she lie?
This is most unusual.
Bravo, Herr Forehead. Herr Judge, the prosecution agrees with the defense's request. If Lemoir lies, I'll be able to tell. Even my limited knowledge of the language should be enough for that.
Well, if both prosecution and the defense are for this, I see little cause for refusal.
Finally, some progress!
Bailiff, please show the defendant and Lemoir to the witness stand.
I suppose there is a first time for everything. Shall we proceed? Your name to begin with. If you would, Lemoir. Yes. He says Make Tobai, the defendant.
This is certainly the first time in this courtroom. Not that we need an interpretation of the message in particular.
So far, so good.
Very well. Mr. Justice, if you would.
Huh? If I would what, Your Honor?
Would what? You called the defendant to the stand, did you not? What would you have the defendant talk about?
What would I want him to testify about? I didn't think that far ahead yet. Apollo, aren't you going to ask him about what he was about to tell us yesterday? How can I if I don't know what he was saying? Excuse me, a moment, if I might speak.
Yes, Lemoir?
Just now, Machi said there is something about which he wishes to testify. Machi wants to testify about something? What could it be?
What sort of testimony is he talking about?
One moment, please. The suspense is killing me.
What?
What? What?
Well, Lemore?
According to Machi, he has proof of his innocence.
What?
This is a surprise.
Yahoo! Victory, Apollo, we did!
It sounds too good to believe. And I know what that usually means.
Well, if that's true, then this is a vital testimony. Machi, please testify to the court.
Very well. He says that word of Mr. Latus's death came as a great shock. But if the killing truly followed the lyrics of my song, I, that is he, could not have done it. He says that because the lyrics are in English, he does not understand them.
I see. He wouldn't have understood the English lyrics of the song. That would prevent him from following them so closely.
I wonder what he meant by proof. Why would he only have to ask Lemore to know the meaning of the song? Lemore, did you ever explain the lyrics of that song to him? I did tell him, generally, what the song was about, but never in so much detail, and he never asked. Has my off-rated warning already fled that forehead? Lemore might be protecting the witness.
Well, anyway, let us proceed with the cross-examination. Mr. Justice, if you would.
Yes, Your Honor. Something's hidden in that testimony. I know it. I just have to trust my bracelet to tell me where. It worked yesterday. It'll work today. He says that word of Mr. Latus's death came as a large shock. But if the killing truly followed the lyrics of my song, I, that is he, could not have done it. He says that because the lyrics are in English, he doesn't understand them. Use the bracelet on this statement. He says that because the lyrics are in English. Hello, what do we got here? He's reacting to the word English.
Gotcha!
Machi, you can't fool my eyes. You glanced toward her the very moment Lemore said the word English. Why? Don't bother interpreting that. He understands me. Machi, tell the truth. You can't understand English, can you? Well, what are you saying? Of course he can't. Must he continue this charade?
Mr. Justice, Maki says this. I know the word English.
Huh?
Before coming to this country, he heard me speaking English. He learned the name of this language, that is all.
What? Give me a break!
Is that such an unusual word to understand? Do you not know Espanol, for instance?
Well, yeah, but...
I'm sorry, but he truly does not understand your language.
Well then, explain this! How does he know the crime... He follows the lyrics?
Have you always been such a suspicious-minded lad? It is simple. So simple it hardly requires an explanation. He read about it in the newspaper.
The newspaper?
The Bourguignon Daily Bugle. You can buy it in this country these days, you know. They have already begun to report about this case in our homeland.
I was right!
What is wrong, Mr. Justice? Your eyes are quite forced all of a sudden.
Maki is lying! Maybe it's time to show them the proof he's lying. I have here a Bourguignon newspaper, the Bourguignon Daily Bugle, as a matter of fact. Indeed, there is a feature article about the case. Can you read this for me, Machi? That's right. It doesn't mention the lyrics.
What? What is this about?
I'm sorry, Machi. You couldn't have read about the lyrics in the Bourguignon newspaper! What does this mean?
But I don't see how it's possible. Ah, I know. He must have heard the lyrics. It's when the police were doing their questioning, yes.
Not possible. The subject of the lyrics was not brought up in police questioning. I read the full report myself. So the lyrics weren't in the newspaper, and the police didn't mention them. The only place you could have heard them was in the courtroom. In English, no less. The witness will explain himself.
Machi says. He says.
Yes?
It's true, I read the newspaper. But this is not where I learned the lyrics. I was mistaken. Now I remember.
You remember?
He says he heard the lyrics from me.
What?
Is this true, Lemoir?
Yes, I'm afraid I have forgotten it myself.
Then it looks like her foreheads jump into conclusions again.
It seems so, yes.
No! I was onto something. I know it. I can't let this chance slip away.
Time is an issue today, Mr. Justice. Are you finished with the cross-examination?
What are you going to do, Apollo?
If I keep on cross-examination, I better have an angle of attack. Or else. My bracelet's still reacting. Your Honor, please allow me to continue.
If you must, you must. Very well, witness.
I understand. It was I who explained that crime he followed the song. It was I. It was I who explained. Gotcha!
Lamore, I currently cross-examine Machi. Why should you be uncertain?
Me? Uncertain?
Yes. You swallowed the very moment you told the court. It was I who explained. I see there is little point in trying to hide anything from you. Oh wait, that was her.
I see there is little point trying to hide anything from you.
Lamore, are you indeed protecting someone?
That is not a question with a simple answer. To tell the truth, I do not believe it myself.
Then allow me to answer for you. Lamore, you are protecting... Take that! Lamore, you are protecting Machi. That's why you lied and told us that you had explained how the crime he followed the song. I don't fault you for trying to help, but this is not the way. Machi, I believe you didn't do it. Really, I trust you. But you've lied to us twice. And now you have Lamore lying on your behalf. If this is going to work, you have to trust me too. Your two lies cover a simple truth. To understand English, you have to. Ah!
Witness, is this true? Do you understand English?
Yes, a little only.
What?
First he could see, now he could talk. And you, did you not know about this, Lamore?
No, I did not. It is quite a surprise.
How many secrets is this witness hiding?
This is last.
Machi, could you tell us what really happened?
No shooting. I did not shooting.
So, you weren't in the dressing room when you heard those two gunshots, correct? Apparently, the answer to that question isn't simple either.
I was in dressing room behind desk manager. He on the floor.
Which would be after the shooting, right?
Then there is voice. Voice? Or voices? Was it you and Emma, Apollo? So when Machi went into the dressing room, Mr. Latouche had already been shot. And then we came into the door. Panel up high. I take off. Run away. Run away. So it was you who escaped through the air vent. As the prosecution had held all along, no less. The defendant has admitted to being at the scene. Might we take this as a confession?
No! He's clearly denied that he did it!
I know shooting. Manager on the floor. Already on floor.
The victim had already been shot, you say? I find that hard to believe. The defendant understood the song lyrics. He was at the scene of the crime. This is gonna only mean one thing. He is the shooter.
Does the defendant have anything to say to this?
He's clammed up, Apollo.
Then let's ask Mr. Justice. Will you require any further testimony for the witness?
Is that it? Is there nothing else I can get him to testify about? Wait. No, of course there is!
What is this cocoon anyway? The cocoon is a silk. The silk is a potent cure. A cure? Well, Machi, are you a smuggler? He won't tell me.
That cocoon has something to do with this! Machi, please tell us the truth, for your own sake!
No. No more speak. Not to any of you.
So much for your precious trust there, forehead. Hey, you were the one who didn't believe him! Regardless, this brings us to an impasse.
It does seem that the defense and defendant are at odds. I doubt we are likely to learn anything more of value that should this continue. I see no other course but to declare a 5-minute recess. The defense will work things out with the defendant so that we might proceed.
Apollo Eustace?
That's justice. Better learn how to say it if you ever want to get some.
Believe I know shooting.
Machi claims Mr. Latouche was already down on the ground when he entered the room.
Maybe it was a trap, and he walked right into it? Suddenly I hear revolver. Close. Very close. Then I hear a voice.
You hear gunshots?
Yes, it is true. I hear revolver, but only sound.
Wait, you're saying you went into the dressing room? And found Mr. Latouche already dead, and then you heard gunshots? If that's true...
So, you were at the scene of the crime when you heard those gunshots?
And you escaped through the air vent.
I know. Huh? What do you know? I know if I open the vent, I can leave the stage and backstage. So the vents went to both the stage and the backstage area? Is that what he means? Hey, he's right. Look, Apollo. Huh? Yeah. But how did you know it was connected like that? Wait, but this is farther. But his father, was the architect that designed the hall or something. I hear this from a magician. Magician? Don't look at me! A magician, huh? Well, at least we're clear on one thing. Machi didn't shoot Mr. Latouche.
Yeah, but what does that leave us with?
We're supposed to say he went into the room and found the body when he heard the gunshots.
That one's going to go over well with the court. Not.
Apollo, you're his defense. You're supposed to believe whatever he says, even lies. That's what Daddy always told me.
I'll just pretend you misheard him. Every time. So, what do we do?
You're sure you won't testify, Machi? No talking. No. Well, it was worth a shot.
That cocoon.
I can't go home. Can't go home? I can't go home to Virginia. I don't want to go home. The penalty for taking the cocoon from Virginia is death.
That's right. It's punishable by death. Of course. He's scared. Oh well. I guess we'll have to try a different approach.
That's the spirit, Apollo. So, what's your plan?
If Machi won't testify about it, we'll have to get someone else to testify.
Someone else?
I think we're out of time. Let's get back in there.
Right.
Apologies if you hear loud bangings in the background. My noisy neighbors are firing fireworks.
Court is now back in session. Mr. Justice, have you sorted things out with the defendant?
Yes, Your Honor. We had a good talk.
Very well. So you will testify?
Your Honor, the defendant will not testify.
What?
Shame. In here I thought this was your big chance to turn the case around. Actually, it is. The defense would like to approach this case from a different angle, Your Honor.
A different angle?
If Machi won't testify, then I know who will. I would like to cross-examine a witness in this case. Lamoire.
Lamoire?
Objection!
What are you up to now? I thought we determined yesterday that Lamoire's testimony was insubstantial. Lamoire was taken to the hospital yesterday with injuries.
What happened?
She was assaulted, Your Honor.
Assaulted?
Someone wanted Lamore dead. Thankfully, she was able to save herself.
What? I've heard of no such report.
Prosecutor Gavin. Why would anyone be out to kill Lamore? Can you think of a reason?
Well?
Think of how she is known in our country. A singer from overseas who doesn't speak English, yes? Yet someone tried to keep her mouth shut. Who could that have been?
You don't think?
I do. It was the same person who shot Mr. Latouche. The killer was afraid of her, afraid of what she might say. The defense believes that something was hidden in her testimony yesterday. Something that the killer doesn't want getting out.
So, am I to understand that this is what you are saying? Namely, that there is a nugget of truth in Lamoire's testimony? A nugget we have yet to uncover?
Exactly.
If Lamore was attacked, this is serious implications. Very well. There were some vague points in her testimony during yesterday's trial. Perhaps we do not inquire as deeply as we might have into some. The court will hear Lamoire's testimony once more.
Lamore, I must apologize. We must ask you to take the stand and speak again. No need. You need not apologize. I know that Machi is innocent. And I will do what I can, all that I can, until the court realizes this.
Let's review your testimony from yesterday. You told us that you heard 2 gunshots and the shooter's voice through the window. And that the voice belonged to Darien Crescent, yes?
That is correct.
At which point I proved she could not be correct.
She couldn't have heard any of those things. The small window at the scene was closed, and was found to be quite soundproof.
You have nothing to say to that, Mr. Justice?
I don't know exactly what yet, but I do know there's something there.
There is there? It seems much you don't. There is, it seems, much you do not know.
And yet it is my duty to hear them out. Perhaps the witness will be so kind to testify once more to the court?
Of course, Your Honor.
What I heard.
I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. That's when I heard them, Mr. Latouche and the detective. I heard the faint sound of a gunshot and stopped. Then I heard another gunshot. There was a smell of gunpowder. I knew I must tell someone, but I was in a hurry, so I kept moving past the small window.
Pretty much the same as yesterday's testimony.
I am sorry. I am not used to speaking much in this language. Perhaps my descriptions are lacking in some way. Yet, Everything I have said here is the truth.
Then it is my distinct displeasure to say this. What you have said had to have happened is impossible. Do I have to repeat myself? Lamore was attacked because of this testimony. What? Trucy?
Apollo, you know, for a moment there, you were pretty cool.
Maybe I do better when I don't try to think ahead.
Very well, Mr. Justice. Perhaps you can coolly cross-examine the witness?
I was on my way to the stage to the backstage exit. Is something wrong?
I raised an objection. But she's saying the same thing she said before.
Mr. Justice?
Sorry, it's nothing. Please continue with your testimony.
Now I know what they mean about the reckless youth these days.
The one in red over there is a shining example here, Judge. You're the last person who should be pointing fingers, Mr. Rockstar.
That's when I heard them, Mr. Latouche and the detective.
Darien Crescent?
I did not know his name at the time. But yes, it was him. Him, the one who took the stand yesterday.
How many times do I need to remind you that's impossible? Oh, there is no way you could have heard him. Because the window at the scene was closed? Is that why? Of course.
Apollo, if we keep asking the same questions as yesterday, we won't get anywhere.
She's right. Maybe there's a different angle we can try. What were they talking about? Lamore, do you have any chance remember what they were saying to each other? If so, please tell us.
I have given it much reflection, but
I was afraid of this. She doesn't remember.
I only heard one phrase clearly.
Only a whole phrase? You remember something that was said? Why didn't you say anything yesterday?
Though my memory is clear, I was afraid to speak. You see, I do not understand what was said.
This could be it. The clue we've been waiting for. Well, what did he say?
It was the other man speaking, not Mr. Latouche.
The shooter, then. Darien Crescent.
Well, what did he say?
It's over. Press the switch, now.
Switch? And the shooter said this to the victim, Mr. Latouche?
I thought it quite strange myself afterwards.
It is a mystery. What could it possibly mean? Mr. Justice, care to shed some light on this?
I mean, sure. I'd like to. It's, very vital. Maybe we could add that to the testimony.
Maybe, Apollo? From the small window, I could hear the voice say, "Press the switch now."
Press the switch? There's only one key that can unlock the mystery of those words. Oh? Yet there was nothing at the scene
that could be called a switch saved the lights. True, there wasn't a switch at the scene, but it just so happens I have a switch right here.
That certainly does look like a switch, doesn't it?
The problem is, this switch was found at the scene of the crime, but was not seen at the... This was not found at the scene of the crime, but on the stage.
The stage?
There was a concert where the concert was held, yes. This was found hidden there. On the stage.
And you're claiming that the voice Lemur heard was of someone commanding another to press the switch?
That is a possibility.
Objection!
Oh, forehead. I'd call that an impossibility. Why? It's hardly necessary for me to remind the court of the layout of the concert forum. The stage is quite far from the Lemur's dressing room. Not to mention that the Gaviners were in the middle of a concert on said stage. We aren't known for being a quiet band. You could shout all you wanted and not be heard. The detective's voice was loud, but clearly not a shout. So too have hair foreheads, cries of possibility fallen far short of being heard. Sorry, but he wouldn't need to shout. Excuse me? You heard what I said, or do you need me to shout it out for you? It would have been quite simple to be heard on the stage from that dressing room. Or wait, you like evidence, don't you? How about this? Using this, it would be easy to get a message to someone on stage.
Take that!
Prosecutor Gavin, perhaps you're familiar with this? Why is that?
What is that? Is that some kind of newfangled phone they've invented while I wasn't looking?
It's a type of transmitter, a communications device.
Communications device?
From what I've heard everyone on stage was wearing one of these. Isn't that right, Prosecutor Gavin? Ah, yes, actually. Therefore talking between band members. We all had one. So you admit that if you were her wearing one of these, talking from the backstage to the stage would be simple.
Objection!
True, but wait. They'll send out an electric signal. To avoid interference with the audio systems, the range is quite limited. Lemur said it was about 30 feet, right? Look at the cross-section diagram of the concert forum. Ah, exactly. The walk from the stage to the backstage seems far. But the direct distance is less than 30 feet. That can't be!
So when Lemur heard the shooter's voice, he could have been talking to someone on stage.
Objection!
Huh, you're claiming this is the switch in question? Why would it have been on the stage at the time? It could be placed in a pocket and carried anywhere. Someone could have hid it on the stage after the fact. Hey, he's got a point. How do we know where it was when she heard the voice? When the shooter said, press the switch.
Well, I guess we don't.
An unfortunate situation. I'm afraid that until we know where this switch was, there's little point in debating it.
Ugh. I was sure this was the way to go with this.
What is this switch anyway? I don't even know that basic fact.
Wait a second. I do know what this switch is. And if you follow that train of logic to its incredible conclusion, it ends up in proof that completely changes this case.
What's up, Apollo? Apollo?
We know about this switch, right? We know what it is.
Yeah?
Well, think of when it was used that day. Think of what happened.
Well, Mr. Justice, if you have no further information to share considering this switch...
Your Honor?
Yes, Mr. Justice?
I've been remiss in not telling the court this before. I know what this switch is.
Well, it seems the defense is set up of linking the switch to the case. Let's see your evidence of the link. What evidence do you have to explain this switch is?
Prosecutor Gavin, you remember this?
That's...
What's that? Is it another one of those newfangled phones?
This is an igniter. What phone looks like this?
Igniter? You mean it's like a lighter?
Yes, actually. You aren't saying this switch is a remote? I am. This is a remote trigger for a lighter. For an igniter.
What?
Look, I'll show you.
Whoa, yow! Mr. Justice! You will cease and desist from burning down this courtroom!
Sorry. That was a bit more fire than I expected.
If my whiskers had caught on fire!
Prosecutor Gavin, and let me repeat myself. This switch is a remote igniter trigger. Doesn't that suggest something to you?
You're talking about what happened to me, aren't you?
Ah, exactly. That night at the concert, there was one unusual burst of flame. When your guitar caught on fire in the middle of your performance.
Wasn't that part of the stage show, though?
Prosecutor Gavin was entirely unaware such a thing had been planned. And the guitar that burned was a valuable keepsake.
That's right. He got it in Virginia from Lumiere. He said its sound was amazing before it burned. Of course, now it just kind of smokes.
The better the guitar, the brighter it burns. Forehead. Yes? Don't tell me you're trying to tie these two things together. These things, the shooter's voice, heard by Limoire, and the guitar suddenly catching on fire. I am. It's really simple when you think about it. Mr. Latouche and the shooter were at the crime scene. The shooter was wearing a headset. He ordered someone on stage to press the switch, which was pressed, and the guitar caught on fire.
Well, that does seem to make sense. Though something about it is bugging me. Can't quite put my finger on it.
Really? It seems pretty simple to me.
Objection!
Here, forehead, don't destroy what little respect I have left for you. I was expecting something a little more sensible. I guess I was wrong.
What's this about, Prosecutor Gavin?
His simple story simply makes no sense. Think, that night, my guitar caught fire, yes. The cause? May have been this indeed. However, my guitar caught fire during the second set. Ah, he's right, of course. The guitar caught fire during Lemmore's song. Indeed. Yet the shooting happened during the third set. The two are utterly unrelated.
Yes, that must have been what was bugging me. The whole premise of this is faulty.
See? His story makes no sense.
Objection!
Are you sure about that?
What exactly do you mean, Mr. Justice?
Maybe it's not the premise for my explanation of the switch that's at fault. Maybe it's our premise for the entire case so far.
What premise is this, specifically?
I'm glad you asked. I'm saying that maybe the killing didn't take place during the third act.
Objection!
What's this? But Detective Sky heard the shots. Hudson found the body. All of this happened in the third act. Gunshots rang out, and according to this testimony, Maki was in that dressing room at the time.
Where are you going with this, Mr. Justice?
Stay with me, Your Honor. He also told us this in his testimony, namely, that the victim had already been shot. We all heard the gunshots, but no one saw the shooting. This is insane! Just before the shooting took place, the shooter was heard on his headset, telling someone to press the switch. The next moment, Prosecutor Gavin's guitar burst into flames. We know that a remote-triggered igniter was inside the guitar. From all these facts, we can draw only one conclusion. The crime did not take place during the third act, but during the ballad performance, the second act. What?
Order! 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 But that goes against the evidence.
What does, Your Honor?
This crime was carried out according to the lyrics of that song, correct?
Hey, he's right, look. The bullet is supposed to come after the fire.
You're thinking about it the wrong way.
Huh?
Look, why would the shooter craft the events of the day to follow the lyrics anyway? It's an awful lot of trouble to go through, with little merit for the person doing it.
Well, I'm sure whoever it was had some reason.
Yes, they did. The reason that made it advantageous to follow the lyrics. You're saying the order was received on purpose?
Received? Prosecutor Gavin?
Oh, reversed. If the criminal followed the lyrics strictly, then yes. The shooting would have had come after the guitar burst into flames. Yet here Forehead has raised another possibility. He's claiming that the bullet came not after, but just before the fire. Couldn't have put it better myself. He meant to think that the shooting came after the guitar burst into flames. But that was the criminal's objective. The crime follows the lyrics to a point, but that was the ruse. Why else would the killer risk discovery at the moving the body? That makes the final touch to make us think he'd follow the lyrics the whole way.
Order, order, order! That would explain most unusual situation.
It does. The killer changed the order of the events to create himself an alibi. In other words, the killer was someone who had an alibi for the third act, but not the second. I was hoping it wouldn't come to this, but sadly it has. Let me tell you why your little fairy tale makes no sense at all. Oh, it sounds good, I'll give you that. And you've given us a reason why the killer bothered following the lyrics to my song. But I question your logic, for it's flawed from the very beginning. Flawed? Yes, the contradiction here, Forehead. One I've pointed out several times, no less. At the time of the crime, the small window at the scene of the crime was closed. How could Lemoire have heard the voice? He's through that. Oh? I know that you would have diverted your attention from this critical fact, but you're basing your entire line of reasoning on a false promise. Right. Lamore's testimony is my entire case. That voice she heard, the shooter's voice. What if she couldn't hear it, Apollo? Look, what do we have? Have a man saying press the switch, and near the crime scene, we have a switch, which acts as a remote trigger for the igniter. At last, but not least, Prosecutor Gavin's flaming guitar. It can't all be coincidence, but how do I make it work? I see a more direct line of questioning is required. When the crime scene was investigated immediately after the crime, that window was closed. Care to tell us how Lemoire heard the voice?
A key point to be sure. Mr. Justice, can you explain this to the court?
Okay, Justice. You've got to prove one thing. You've got one thing to prove and one thing only. Lamore heard a voice. And she heard it during the second set. Think. How was Lamore able to hear a voice? Oh boy. She heard it from somewhere else. When we investigated the scene, the window was closed. The shooter had no reason to close it, had it been open earlier either. Meaning it was impossible to hear the voice through the window. Ah, it's good to hear you making sense again. For a moment, I was afraid you were that you might be a Borginian too. As I was saying, Lamore could not have heard the voice through that window. So there can be only one explanation. She heard the voice from her location entirely.
What's this?
You do amuse me so. And here I thought that you and good sense were back on speaking terms. Now, I'm afraid you and good sense speak two entirely different languages. Shall I interpret it for you, Miss Forehead? Lamore clearly stated she heard the voice through that small window. And there is only one small window at that crime scene. Are you sure? Think about it. Isn't there another small window at the scene? There is?
I know that look. He wants us to ask him. Very well. Oh, you claim Lamore heard the voice from another location? Mr. Justice, show us where this location was.
Lamore heard the location from here.
Take that!
This is where Lamore heard that voice from.
But that's not a small window. That's the air vent.
What did she tell us? She said she's a Borginian unfamiliar with our language. It's not a stretch to imagine, and she called this air vent a small window. Now you've done it. You've gone beyond ridiculous and into ludicrous. So Lamore was up in the ventilation system, listening into this man's voice. That's the only logical explanation, yes. Logical? Well, I do not think this word means what you think it means, Air Forehead. Okay, what about it isn't logical? Huh, it's hardly merits saying. How would Lamore be in the ventilation system? Hiding like a rat. No offense intended to her, of course. The explanation for that is simple, Prosecutor Gavin. Isn't it, Lamore? You have been listening to our discussion here, yes? Yes. I admit, it had me quite confused since yesterday. Yes, the small window was closed. But why should I hear that man I could not hear through it? I feared our prosecution might himself need an interpreter. The problem here is words. Lamore, this small window, though which you heard the voice, was up Was it up high on the ceiling of the room, not low on the wall?
Yes, it was up in the ceiling.
What?
Order! Order! I will have order! Witness, you will clearly clarify this statement to the court. Are you in fact saying that you were up above the ceiling of the room? And that's where you heard the moment of the crime?
Yes, in fact I was. I'm sorry. I never imagined it would become such an important point.
Yes, well, why not? Why the heck were you up there?
I believe it's time for another testimony.
I'm not sure I can't.
I remind you that this is a murder trial. We will hear your testimony. This is why you witnessed the crime from above the... Tell us why you witnessed the crime from above the ceiling in that room. Please.
Well, looks like I'm right on the right track. Above the ceiling.
Yes, I was above the ceiling when I heard the voice. I heard the voice. There was a small window there before. It was in the middle of my performance, and I had no time to report what I had heard. So that's... As to why I was there, I cannot say. I am bound to secrecy on this matter.
Bound to secrecy?
In my line of work, one has many obligations to uphold.
But you say you were in the middle of your performance. So this did happen during the second set.
I did not witness the crime, you must understand. I only know what I heard.
Yes, but you must tell us what you were doing in detail.
That's what the cross-examination is for, yeah, Herr Forehead? Our mission in this court is to determine the truth. No obligation, no binding pact may hinder that mission.
Very well. Mr. Justice, you may begin your cross-examination.
What are you going to do, Apollo?
I'm going to find out the truth. She was up above that ceiling for some reason. I just have to get it out of her. And I need to wrap this up.
Yes, I was above the ceiling when I heard the voice. I had heard there was a small window there before. It was in the middle of my performance. I had no time to report what I had heard. As to why I was there, I cannot say.
Lamore, truth be told, the reason for your performance above that theater, that ceiling, is quite clear. Especially when you consider what happened during your performance.
What happened?
Yes, it's all right here in this video. Watch carefully now, and you might catch on. Do you see? If you do, I salute your keen eye. As we can see, Lamore was clearly not on stage for her entire performance.
Oh,
Though it saddens me to be so realistic, Lamore is incapable of actually vanishing, let alone teleportation. So, the only explanation is that she was hidden from view. And during that time, she moved to the back of the back of the forum.
Apollo,
What, Trucy?
it's not nice to reveal a magician's secrets. It's against the rules.
But I'm a lawyer. I'm not supposed to be nice.
this is a really fascinating. But how is it possible? There is only 20 seconds between when she disappears and reappears. She couldn't have moved that fast. Is something wrong, Prosecutor Gavin?
This was his concert, his show. He knows how the illusion was performed.
Aha!
He's just realizing his own oversight. It looks like the cross-section diaphragm again. Here we can trace a route through the ceiling. It goes from the stage through the backstage to the rear of the forum. Recall Lamoire's testimony from yesterday.
I was on my way from the stage to the backstage exit. There was something like a small window there. That's how I saw it.
She went from the stage to the backstage exit. A perfect description of this room above the ceiling.
Lamore knew of this because of her path is an illusion. But she wasn't the only one who knew.
What?
Just now in the lobby, Machi told me something.
I know if I open the vent, I can leave the stage and backstage.
He said that? Oh, were you not informed, Prosecutor Gavin? I knew about the vanishing act, of course. Yet I had no idea of the route that would be used. Why didn't that magician tell me?
Magicians only reveal details to their acts on a need-to-know basis. That's their bread and butter to the magician's life, you know.
Which is why he bound Lamore to secrecy. Well, Lamore?
I am impressed, Mr. Attorney. Machi was right about you.
So, what does this mean? Are you saying you used this row above the ceiling?
I did.
Well, that's that. But I'm still a little confused.
Why's that, Your Honor?
as I said before, there was very little time between when she disappeared and reappeared. 20 seconds, tops. How could she have done that? Especially if she stopped near the window.
That's a good question.
Can the witness explain this to the court?
I cannot.
Very well. Mr. Justice?
Yes?
It's all up to you. Do your thing.
What thing, Your Honor?
You need to explain how Lamoire was able to teleport like she did. Or I'm throwing your case out with the bathwater.
Why do I get picked on? It's Lamoire who isn't going along with the program here.
As I have stated before, I am not at liberty to speak of the illusion that night in detail.
Then you'll have to tell us what you can. And we'll hear your testimony on this. Mr. Justice, it will be your job to wring the truth out of her.
Yes, if you would, please.
Right. I feel like a student before finals.
Good luck, Apollo.
The big illusion.
I follow the route exactly as I was instructed. There is an emergency exit in the backstage where a straightened stagehead waited. From there, one can enter the forum from the opposite side of the stage. The plan was for me to move there in 2 minutes. I was on my way when I heard the voice.
2 minutes, you say? The mystery deepens.
I suppose it was too much to hope that the judge would come up with something.
As does my curiosity. Take it away, Mr. Justice.
Right, Your Honor. All I have to do is find the contradictions between what Lamoire is saying and what we can see plainly in the video.
I figured it out already, and I'm a magician after all.
Well, tell me.
Not a chance. I can't reveal another magician's secrets, come on!
Hey, you're supposed to be on my side here. Alright. For real, let's wrap this up. And I know what statement to press.
I follow the route exactly as I was instructed. There is an emergency exit in the backstage where a stagehand waited. From there, one can enter the forum on the opposite side of the stage. The plan was for me to move in there in 2 minutes.
2 minutes?
Yes, it can be done in 1 minute if you are running.
Running? In that cramped dark tunnel above the ceiling?
Haha, Mr. Attorney, have you forgotten? Dark or lit, it makes no difference to me.
That's true, but...
So you're saying that on the night of the concert, you made the trip in 2 minutes?
Yes, though I nearly didn't make it in time. You see, I stopped halfway.
Lamore disappears on the video for 2 minutes. 2 seconds. But she says she made the trip in 2 minutes. How?
If you want my professional opinion, I'll bet the answer's right there in that video.
Well, Mr. Justice, perhaps you have some evidence for us? Something that can explain the discrepancy between the video and her testimony?
Evidence explaining the discrepancy? Yeah, let's present evidence. There's only one piece of evidence that explains the discrepancy between the video and testimony.
Take that!
Lamore, do you happen to remember this brooch?
Aha, the brooch! We saw that yesterday, did we not?
It was found at the scene, Your Honor.
And you're bringing this up now, why? I thought we had already determined that when that was dropped.
So we did, but we didn't. Take another look at the video. Here you can see she's wearing the brooch.
So she is.
Let's take a look a bit later.
What? The brooch! It's gone!
What? Yes. The brooch disappeared in the short space of 20 seconds. And it takes a full minute to run from the stage to the backstage. Which means there can only be one explanation. Lamore, we see before the vanishing act, and Lamore we see after. Are two different people.
What? What?
The brooch we found on the floor at the crime scene was not just on the floor, but on the floor directly beneath the air vent. Lamore, tell me, did you drop the brooch on your way from the stage to the backstage? At the very moment you witnessed the crime?
Yes, I think I did.
Order! Prosecutor Gavin!
From your expression, I gather you had no idea this was the case there, Judge? I, of course, knew about it.
What?
Don't get me wrong, I wasn't hiding it. It just never occurred to me that the switch and the shooting took place at the same time.
So, I was right? There was a switch?
There was. Just before the stage's tower rose, Lamore was replaced.
While we're on the subject, just who was the replacement Lamore?
Why, the man behind the illusion, Valant Grammari.
It was Grammari? That's quite the illusion, but I still don't get the thing.
Yes?
The switch happened before the tower rose, correct? So, were you on stage?
That's right.
But this, fake Lamore was still singing. And she's pretty good.
That's true.
Come on, Apollo. That's an easy one. Hun, they were just playing a recording.
The Governors are in some kind of air guitar band, Fraulein.
Oh, you mean I'm wrong?
When I play a show live, we play live. No recordings. Perhaps you can explain, Lemoire?
Very well.
Yes. Do tell. Add it to your testimony.
I had to keep singing, even when I moved.
Hold it!
You were singing?
Yes. Mr. Gavin expressed a dislike for recordings. So I used this.
Wait. So you were singing the whole time? Even when you were crawling through the ceiling towards the backstage?
Why would it matter where I sing? And when everywhere I go is the same darkness.
But if you were singing while you were walking...
That's right. Wouldn't the shooter and the victim have heard? She was singing right over their heads after all.
That is right.
Are you sure?
You'd have to be pretty hard of hearing to miss someone singing in the ceiling. Once again, we come back to the state of the scene. The state of the scene of the crime. The state?
I know what he means. That old speaker, Apollo.
The speaker?
That speaker was blaring at the time of the murder. That's for monitoring the stage from this room. Monitoring? The pipes in a real-time feed from the stage microphones. Useful for knowing when your set is coming up.
Satisfied? That dressing room was fitted with a large speaker playing direct hit feed from the stage. At my request, actually. So Lamore's singing in the ceiling sounded just like Lamore singing over the speaker? Ingenious! Her voice was hidden by her own voice!
Lamore? I have just remembered something.
Do tell!
When I heard that noise, the gunshots, yes? It startled me, so
you...
I stopped singing.
What?
I forgot the words I was supposed to sing.
The song stopped?
Thankfully, it was the very beginning of the second verse. So, not many would notice.
Forehead, that mixing board I lent you. Where is it? The mixing, huh?
That machine, Apollo. The one that breaks music into tracks?
Oh, this? I completely forgotten about this. Let's take a listen.
The song does stop there.
It does. I must have missed it.
Look at the lyric sheet. At the top of the second page. At the top of the second verse. See where it says pleasure, pleasure? Now listen again.
This is evidence indeed. I believe we are guilty of making a terrible mistake.
The crime didn't happen during the third set. It happened during the second set, during Landward's ballad.
If that is true, then no one on stage during the second set could have been the shooter.
Which means that Darien Crescent could have done it. He wasn't on stage for the second set! Well, Prosecutor Gavin? Fascinating. I don't believe I ever seen a trial turned around quite so thoroughly. Yet one problem remains.
What's that, Prosecutor Gavin?
For a theory, he does have a certain kind of logic to it. Yet it is entirely based on Lumoir's testimony.
Yes? Is there a problem with this?
Well, it's quite simple, though it pains me to say it. What if she is lying to protect the defendant?
Objection!
But you have no proof. All I am saying is that the truth is as yet unclear. Until we hear her directly from the man himself.
The man? You don't mean...
Yes. Though he is a friend and a band member, Darien Crescent must take the stand. I see no other way.
As soon as someone with a new perspective on the case...
As a suspect, to be frank. Finally! The rat's coming out of his hole. Oh, and I'm ready to catch him. Darien Crescent, here comes justice!
This is a good time as any to pause for a brief recess. The prosecution will summon the witness. Have him ear and ready by the time we begin.
The last man who needs to be reminded of what is dais here.
Very well. Court is adjourned for a 15-minute recess.
And that's where we're going to be leaving things for now. When we come back, we will be doing the latter side of the trial. Will we be able to prove Maki innocent? Find out next time in Let's Replay Apollo Justice, Ace Attorney. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment if you want. Ring the bell to be notified when our next video comes out. All this helps our channel to grow so you have new videos to enjoy. We do new videos every Tuesday, Thursday, and occasionally Saturday and Sundays. Till the next video, this is Saur Darkchylde, signing off. Have a good night, folks.